Get it started, and I appreciate you all's patience. Thanks, Love, Ife, for telling me to record. So, got you. All right, Mama Yinka, glad you're here. So, let's go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. Hope y'all are doing well in the midst of your spring break. We are slated to get back into the school side of things on Monday, if I recall correctly. And in the meantime, I was thinking about what was a special thing we could do over the break to kind of continue the enrichment in connection with particularly the high school students, because there had been some discussion at Aya in our morning sessions and in two of the classes that I teach. Mostly this is for you, Adam, and for Amari. And hopefully if Chris gets on him too. There had been some conversation and communication and questioning around this idea of, all right, so I have this, and I'm getting this African-centered education or this Black nationalist socialization and upbringing. As I'm preparing to go into the next phase of life, be that college or trade school or the workforce or what have you, how can I really negotiate these politics and these values and use them in life beyond school, beyond my social relationships and friendships that are around me that are doing or going to the same things that we are, because we're this small group of folks getting in this focused space. How does this African-centeredness interact with the real world, and what things did and I wanted to give them an opportunity to get connected with some folks such as yourselves to get some insight on you all's personal journeys as two, when Chris comes on, three brothers who have been, and I'm seeing your messages here. I am trying to give you all permission to record. I didn't know I had that kind of wielding power here.
I think only you can.
Let's see. So I am recording it.
Can you hear me?
No, I couldn't. What'd you say?
I said I think only you are able to record.
Okay.
Record it and just send it out to them.
Got you. Cool. So thank you, Ife. I am recording it. So like she was saying, I am recording it. And so once the session closes and the file uploads and all that good stuff, I'll make sure everyone that wants the link gets it. So don't worry about recording it so much right now. Thanks, Love. And so, yeah, so wanted to give the students a chance to kind of in the spirit of Walter Rodney, who some of you may be familiar with, the 90s scholar and revolutionary brother, who had these grounding sessions at the University of the West Indies, different places throughout the U.S., which were in some ways like a space where people could come together and discuss issues in a focused, finite way without this kind of hierarchy of, here are people at the top that are going to bring you to this new place of knowledge, and you're just there to be a receptacle to be poured into. I see this as really a question and answer session where we can all kind of stand on common ground, or sit on common ground, if you will, and share with each other questions, ideas, scares, challenges, experiences from Amari and Adam's side, and any parents, and Ife, if you want to jump in as well. And then on the student side, yeah, again, just asking questions what is it that, what were you able to do? What was your experiences like in academia as a student? In Amari's case, is still a teacher, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll pause there and want to go ahead and have students go ahead and introduce yourselves real quick. Just name, grade, all that good stuff. And so we can get everyone's name in the room. So without further ado, let me close that. And how can I unmute people? Manage participants, here we go. Ali, we're gonna start with you. You go ahead and turn on your camera as well. And folks can turn on their cameras too so we can see them. Oh, we got Chris in the building too. What's up, Chris? Let me unmute you real quick. Good, glad that you're in. Cool, so how much time you got?
I don't know, I'm waiting on this plane, so we will see.
Cool. So everyone is in. So we're just gonna do some real brief introductions. And thank you, Ife. Yes, people can unmute themselves. Good to know. So, Ali, starting with you, I'm gonna go ahead and mute everyone again, just so there's not a lot of sound pollution. And then Ali, students are you all just introduce yourselves really quick. Turn on your cameras as well. And, oops. There we go. Now, Ali, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Ali. I'm in 11th grade and I'm located in New York.
Thank you, Ali. Akili Mali. I know your webcam doesn't work.
Hello, everyone. My name is Akili Mali. I'm in the 9th grade, and I'm here at the ATL, in the ATL, actually. And this is my first year in IA.
Great, 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 great. Kadira.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kadira. I am 15, and I'm from Lexington, Kentucky.
Lexington in the building. Nadir. If you are back.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Nadir, and I'm in 12th grade, and this is my 4th year at IA, and I'm in Atlanta.
Great, thank you, Nadir. So, what's going on? Unmute yourself and show us your face.
Hi, my name's Sol. I am in the 10th grade, and this is the second year at IA, and I'm in Ohio.
Great, shout out to you. So, and yet today, last and certainly not least.
My name is Yehuda Diop. I'm 14 years old, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia. This is my second year at IA.
Good stuff, good stuff. And so we have a couple of teachers in the building from IA as well. So Mama Yinka, if you could introduce yourself real quick, and then also Ife, if you want to throw your face out there too, it'd be great.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ife. This is my second year for the second time teaching at IA, and I graduated from IA in 2010. Whoop, whoop. And I'm so happy to be here and very happy that this is happening.
Appreciate it. And Mama Yinka, I don't know if your microphone or what your options are over the phone. If you are able to unmute yourself so that we could.
Okay, I just figured it out. I see.
Great.
So I'm Yinka, and I live here in Atlanta, and 2 of my 5 children attend IA. I am admin support, and I sometimes teach. And actually, my oldest daughter attended IA as well. She's in undergrad now. Good to meet y'all.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. So thank you, Mama Yinka. I didn't know that your video was on too, so it's good to see you. So great. So that is some of the students and parents and teachers of IA. Hopefully a few more will swing in. Actually, Ali, your mom is still here. If that is true, Mama, can you introduce yourself too? I don't see your presence in the chat. What's up, Farasha? Is your microphone working? Yes, it is. I'm sorry, Farasha. Great, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you had gotten dropped. So yes, introduce yourself too as well, Farasha.
All right, cool. Greetings. My name is Farasha Akinti Simmons. I am an 11th grader at IA. This is my second year at IA. Yeah, I didn't know what else you were supposed to say, but
that's great.
That's me.
That's great. Thank you, Farasha. Thanks for making yourself announced as well. Cool. So again, those are some of the students, teachers, parents of IA, mostly our high school students. And without further ado, Amari, Chris, and Adam, if you all could just introduce yourselves very quickly, who you are, what you do, and I don't know, share one thing you're passionate about, and then we'll kind of really get started. Amari, would you mind going first?
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can everyone else hear me pretty well?
Yeah.
Cool.
Hi, my name is Amari Johnson. I'm a rock star. You know what I mean? No? Yes?
Yes.
I'm a professor at Temple, and I've known Tafari for quite a while. Yeah, I'm sure as we talk more, we'll get into more about me. But I just wanted to say hello.
Cool. And who is that you got with you?
Harriet No Need won't sit down because she likes to see herself in the.
Because she's a rock star. That's what it is. No, cool. Thanks, Amari. Glad that you're here. And glad that you're here too, Harriet No Need. So, Adam, if you could introduce yourself as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Jackson. I'm from Baltimore City, Maryland. I'm CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle. It's a grassroots think tank located here in Baltimore. Kind of I guess you could say our grounding or our framework is based in Pan-African nationalism. And in terms of what I'm passionate about Black people. So.
Appreciate you. Glad that you're here, Adam, my brother. Yes, indeed. And y'all know this is for the students and all that, this isn't a formal vibe, so like you can relax and say what's up and all that good stuff as well. Chris, if you can introduce yourself, survivor of cargo transit thing. Let me unmute you real quick. If you could unmute yourself. There you go. Maybe not.
There we go. All right, cool. My name is Chris Roberts, grad student at Temple. As well, I teach in the department PhD program, same as Amari. And I am passionate about building community with Black people and using education as a way to solve problems and questions that we encounter as a community. So I really am interested in school and learning, but for me, it's about how to find creative solutions to the problems we face as a people through education. So, yeah.
Good stuff. I appreciate it. So yes, that is who's in the room. And so I kind of wanted to get the discussion started. And I'm thinking if we can roll maybe till like 6, and I know some people may have to go at certain times and all that. So if you need to go, a couple of house rules real quick. If you need to go ahead and roll out. Just let us know, drop us a message in the chat bar or anything like that. High school students, you all know too, this is an extra credit opportunity. Watching, participating, and engaging is one part of this. A second part of this will be those wonderful reflection essays. But so for Amari, Chris, and Adam, some of the students have a number of questions that they want to ask, and we'll kind of like generally let the flow of the conversation go to where it does. I do kind of want to start with a kind of like a 10,000-foot view. Again, these are, as you heard, mostly 10th and 11th graders. We have one graduating senior this year with Nadir. And as I was saying at the beginning part of the conversation, and students, I definitely want you to, bring yourselves into the room and tell them specifically some of the things that you all have been talking about. But there have been a number of conversations that we've been having at AYA, and for those who do not know, AYA is an online African-centered education institution that is located in Atlanta and has students from different parts of the United States, teachers from different parts of the U.S., a couple of students out of the country and all that good stuff, where we, use technology and African-centered education. These are my words, not the official words of AYA. As a vehicle to produce, warriors, healers, and builders, young people who are skilled in all three areas in a way to be able to do the things that you all are talking about through LBS, through your work at Temple, at Amari, and Chris, and do that in ways in service of our people. And so, of course, this 10,000-foot view of the world that we find ourselves in, the different cities we find ourselves in, within the context of whether people want to call it white supremacy, global capitalism, racism, that we've all grown up in and been socialized in to different extents and phases, and are surviving in and making movements against, what have you. I kind of want to start with, for you all, what do you see African-centered education as broad-based definition, and what should it do? And then also if you could kind of comment a little on, what was when would you say you, for lack of a better phrase, came into, I don't really like to use the word consciousness, but kind of came into a politicized mental space. Was it at college? Was it before college? And kind of how did you find this path of African-centeredness? And who would like to tackle that first? Adam, I choose you.
Cool. Okay. So to answer the first question, in terms of what do I think an African-centered education is supposed to do, I think that education, just generally speaking, should teach people how to be responsible stewards of power and how to actualize themselves in the world around them. So what I mean by that is, when you look at how Europeans are taught in schools, from, all the way from the creation of humanity to, the most advanced technology in the world, some of the most advanced, they posit themselves in terms of being the most advanced, the most foundational to how humanity has been able to advance so far, to this point. And I think that gives them an understanding that they see themselves in the world around them. Henceforth, they can go forth and, reify structural racism by, some of these fundamental ideas they have about the world. And I think because Black people internalize, some of the anti-Black understandings of ourselves and racist understandings of ourselves, internalized Black inferiority, in the education system in this country, most of us aren't prepared to be stewards of power and to empower our communities. Most of us see ourselves as just people who are going to work, and we get a college education and we get degrees, and we just kind of work in the American economy or a part of this country, but we don't see ourselves as empowering our own communities and using education as a method to do so. So I think ultimately that's what education is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a method by which people can empower themselves and empower their communities and make them stewards of power. Secondly, in terms of kind of how I came into consciousness, one thing that's interesting about me is that growing up, I wasn't predisposed to any of this stuff. Both my parents are Black, but they were both law enforcement for 30 years. Both of them worked in law enforcement for 30 years, and we were working class / middle class. We weren't poor as far as I was concerned. Even though we grew up in Baltimore, and I went to school. You know what I mean? I did all the regular things that you do when you grow up in that kind of environment, and I was pretty square. My life was pretty all right compared to most Black people I knew. And so consciousness about African people, and particularly about racism and white supremacy, didn't really come until college, because, you don't really see racism when you grow up around Black people. The political system is Black. All of your friends are Black. Everything around you is Black. So it's very difficult to understand some of the very complex issues that concern racism and white supremacy. And so when I went to school, I went to Towson University, which is a majority white school, about 65%, 70% white. It's my first time being around more than 10 white people at a time. And so when I went there, I was like, whoa, this is a big culture shock. But luckily for me, I had a bunch of Black people around me who helped push me in the right direction. And plus I was doing policy debate. And so, doing debate in high school and college helped me matriculate around into programs where I was around really smart Black people all the time who were concerned about the things I was concerned about. And then just kind of seeing racism play out in that kind of institution played a lot into my development. But I say generally that's where it came from. It came from the culture shock of being in school around white people and realizing the complexities of racism, and that it went far beyond white people trying to control us as individuals, but seeing it more as systemic and seeing it embedded in all these different places that I didn't see it before.
Word. Makes sense. Definitely. No, appreciate that. Chris, I know you're working on a time schedule possibly, so I'm gonna ask you to jump in real quick too with the same question, and then Amari, and then we'll open it up to questions. And kind of again like take it from there. And also, Adam, Amari, and Chris, if y'all got questions for the students, like y'all feel free to throw those into the fold as well. There's a text chat on the right-hand side that people can contribute to if they like to as well, so the discussion can happen on multiple fronts. But Chris, if you could, same questions.
All right, cool. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate to share the space with everybody here. If y'all see me glancing to the side, it's just I'm checking on this plane. It's kind of one of those when it arrives, they tell you to go situations. But yeah, so for me, it's interesting. So I actually, I would say first came into beginning to understand African education, let's say. I worked at a museum. For those in Baltimore, I worked at the Reginald Lewis Museum. I actually had worked there since it opened in 2005. So my introduction to even broadly, really deeply studying Black folks, even in a mainstream sense, right, as a lot of museums are, was as a teenager. So for me, I was around history from a young age, like 16, 17. So learning is something just that I've been a part of. My mom was a public school teacher 40 years, so it was something that was very much a part of what I've been doing for a while. But when I got to college, what I found was that there were different types of education, right? So for me, college was the space where I began to explore questions, not just of like what I was learning, but from whose perspective was I learning it from, and why was I learning it in that way? So to answer the first question, and that kind of led me to an African-centered education. So for me, I would say an African-centered education, in addition to everything that was said, should do two things. One of them is imagination. So for me, I think that oftentimes we think that to solve the problems we face as people, we only have a certain set of tools, meaning we only can look to these sets of ideas with these sets of perspectives. I really think that an African-centered education, a good one, should really deepen the well from which we look back from, meaning the ways that African people solved questions of economy, of community, of government, of spirituality. That not that we sort of take on those solutions wholesale, but that we have a reference point to solve our problems that is much deeper than, say, 100, 200, 300 years ago, right? And for me, that's really a lot of what I do in my own work, is really explore those sorts of things. So that's what I think an education, African-centered education should do. And secondly, the moment, I guess if I would say a moment that clicked for me, sorry about the airport. It's okay, I'll wait for this. All right, cool. And secondly, what I was gonna say about a moment for me would actually be in high school. So it was, I know I said I came into this all later, but I started asking questions my senior year because we were doing a Black History Month program. This is at Woodlawn. As far as familiar with that school as well. So we were doing a Black History Month program, and we were supposed to just talk about, different historical figures in Black history, and we've been looking forward to this for months. But our principal, there'd been a fight at the school, things happened, and the principal thought it would be good to punish our class, right, our group of students, by taking away this Black History Month program. So when it happened, like a lot of us, went to the principal's office. We had a teacher who made it a point to go in there and yell at him. So it blew up at our school, right? It was a big thing. But the fact that they sought to punish us by removing this aspect of history, right? So it's how you discipline young Black people, is that you take away ideas of learning. And that kind of goes back to what Adam was saying earlier, right? Europeans are taught how to willpower in a very sort of punishing, disciplinary, rigid sense, right? So I was like, okay, so they think that when we act out, the solution is to take away education. And, that began really posing questions for me. So, yeah, that's kind of what sparked the questions for me. And then 10 years later, I'm here. So, yeah, thanks, y'all. And that's a bit of my perspective. So, yeah.
Good stuff. Appreciate you, Chris. And Amari, yes, same things, same questions. And I know your journey, actually, if I recall correctly, kind of has taken on a slightly different track. Thinking about some of the stuff from SC Ramu and all that stuff, some of the programs you went to and through growing up. So yeah, if you could share your perspective on the two questions. And then again, like I said, we'll open it up to student and or teacher or parent questions as well.
I think Brother Adam and Brother Chris really hit it on the head in terms of African-centered education. I always think about, education in general. Dr. Amos Wilson, is to secure the survival of the people. So if we're looking at an education that's going to be effective for us and ours is going to ultimately secure our survival in this land or outside of this land. In terms of my pursuing this path, it happened in high school. I'm from a place called Rahway, New Jersey. Only thing it's known for is a prison. It's in all the movies. That's about every time I say, I'm from Rahway, that's kind of what people associate it with. It's probably about 20,000 people, racially mixed. And I grew up in a black neighborhood when we were bused across town. So I grew up around white folks and black folks. It wasn't anything until I got to high school. I went to an all-male Catholic high school, and it was all white, and that was kind of that wake-up call. That first year was just that culture shock that Brother Adam was talking about. And the summer after my first year, they had assigned a book called Best Intentions about the life of Edmund Perry. I won't go into it. It's a very interesting story about a brother from New York who ended up going to Exeter, one of the so-called elite institutions, graduated on his way to Yale, and was killed by an undercover cop the summer before he went off to Yale. Right, he's from Harlem. Later on, that will be significant because the corner that he was killed at, 114th in Amsterdam, was actually the corner where my dorm was freshman year in college. So he was killed basically right on Columbia's campus, I went to Columbia University. Reading that book just kind of opened up a whole series of doors. I'm trying to keep this brief. My mother bought me the autobiography, right? And I read that, and then that just kind of started everything. I was fortunate enough to go to a summer program called the W.E.B. Du Bois Scholars Institute, which was housed at Princeton University for Black and Latino students. And then I just met some brothers and sisters there. We started an organization, and that was kind of it. But one of the really great things, right, exactly. You say autobiography of Malcolm X, but we know it as the autobiography. There is no other autobiographies. Basically. I'm saying all of this because I know as we talk, Brother Tafari, one of the things you were sort of in preparing me for what you want to come out of this conversation, it was that foundation that going into college allowed me to pursue things even more aggressively. And what I mean by that is because I knew in high school that I was going to dedicate my life to the health, well-being, and liberation of African people. When I got to college, my lens was already geared towards that. And one of the great opportunities that I had was being able to travel extensively. So I spent a year and a half of my college experience living in Ghana, Cuba, and Brazil, and just sort of forging that international Pan-Africanist consciousness through lived experience. You know what I mean? And I, love to talk with y'all more about that, but I'll kind of leave it there for now. And if you have any questions, we just kind of wrap from there. But I would like to say, Brother Tafari, you had said if we had questions as well.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So one question I am interested in is what are you folks thinking? What are some of your, I won't say fears, but what are some of your concerns going forward with your education, whether you're going to formal college or otherwise? What are some of your concerns about being able to pursue this path in this world?
And so y'all feel free to unmute yourselves, jump in, all that good stuff.
Well, I think, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I think for me, so I am interested, my two top schools right now are Spelman and Howard. I want to major in dance theater and minor in education, or African studies. I haven't decided yet. And I think one of my concerns is making sure that I get the proper education and the proper background where I feel like I'm able to benefit my people in my profession. I want to open up a performing arts company after. That's my long-term goal. right after college, I want to teach in the arts. But I just want to make sure that my profession is helping my people. I want to do a lot of study abroad in the diaspora. And, I just want to make sure that I make all the connections that need to be made for me as an African person, as an African woman, so that I'm able to benefit my people once I come back and start building the organization that I want. So you have any tips or any things that you think I should focus on as far as my studies? That would be great.
Got you. I'm gonna jump in for a quick second. Stay unmuted, Farasha, because I think that was a very great and eloquent answer. And I think there were places for you to jump in as like stopping points of some of what I heard of some of your concerns or scares. And correct me if I'm wrong, so that Amari can get answers to the question that he's asking. And also other students feel free to jump in too. And it sounded like one was, you were talking about getting the things that you need to get. And that's very general. Are there some specific things that you're afraid college, like you said, what, Howard, and what was the other one, Spelman? Are there some things that you have about either of those institutions, or even just like college in general, not being able to prepare you to get some of those things? Like what would you be afraid of not getting specifically in college?
I don't know if there's anything I feel like I won't be getting. There's lots of things that I want to get. Like, I'm interested in criminal justice. I'm interested in the social sciences. And I feel like all of those are really, really important as far as my development as an African person. So, and even going to an HBCU, there are things that I'll get there that I won't get at a PWI or at a predominantly white institute. And also, there are things that if I'm not looking for or if I'm not focusing on it, then it could be missed. And I want to get everything that I can possibly get. Does that make more sense?
So what is your actual concern, Farasha? Like, I hear you saying you want to get a lot, and it sounds like you're worried that you won't have the opportunity to get, like, to take in all of the information that you want to learn. I'm just trying to get down to what your actual concern is. Because if there's something that you want, then on the opposite side, there's also something that you are scared that you won't get. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. Okay. I want to get everything that is, I don't want to go into it looking to get everything and I miss imperative things. I don't want to go in, trying to get everything and I miss things that are really, really important.
Okay. So that's your scare. That's your scare that you'll go in looking for too much and you'll miss out on what you really should get. And so you want guidance on what Amari or these people think that you should get.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. The thing, the brother Adam want to jump in?
Go ahead. You asked the question, so go ahead.
Well, one of the, I ask myself every day how different my life would have been if I'd have gone to Howard. Because whenever I go to Howard's campus, I'm like, this is black heaven, you know what I'm saying? And, but I also, because I was in that position when I was choosing to go to school, I had decided in December I got admitted to Morehouse, right? I was like, oh, that's it. In fact, I only went to Columbia because they had this admitted students of color weekend. And I was like, yo, it's a free trip to New York. We get to hang out for a weekend. And I knew when I stepped on the campus, though, I knew that was the place for me. You know what I mean? Not because, and it was definitely a moral conflict. I'm like, I'm trying to get away from white people, and yet I go to but what I knew was the feeling I had when I went to Morehouse's campus. I was like, oh, this is cool. But when I got on Columbia, I said, this is a place I could really do my thing. You know what I'm saying? And one of the really, obviously, there are ups and downsides. So my wife went to Spelman, and she feels like every black woman should go to Spelman, right? And I from the women I know who have come through Spelman, as well as her telling me about her experience, I think it's also a wonderful place. I say all of that to say, obviously, if you choose one path, you're going to miss out everything that the other path has. You can never have everything, right? But it sounds like, for the most part, you're very clear on where you want to end up. That's probably the most important thing, to be clear on where you want to go. Now, we can all work together to figure out what will be the best steps to take along the way. You know what I'm saying? But certainly being open to the experience and understanding that the two places that you've mentioned, not only the schools, the actual institutions, but the cities, Atlanta. You said you're in Atlanta now, right? Atlanta and then DC, but you got to hurry up because DC ain't gonna be DC. But you know, and no, these are places that attract people who are the most precious resource. You know what I'm saying? Word.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Chris or Adam, y'all want to try to chime in on that question too, or want to throw another question into the room? Students or anyone? Or anyone else want to take a stab at Amari's question?
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'd add to that, you know, one of the things that was really important to me when I was like,
hold up, yeah, you're muted, Adam. Let me unmute you. Unmute yourself real quick.
Oh, my fault.
You did.
Yeah, I just want to kind of add to what Amari was saying. You know, one of the things, because college is one of those decisions you shouldn't really take lightly. You know, whether you decide to go or not to go to college, for one, and then two, the type of institution that you want to attend. Because I think for me, as a Black person that grew up in Baltimore, you know, I grew up around Black people my whole life, but my thinking wasn't Black, if that makes sense. You know, I didn't think about my community at all. So I was just like, I need to have a diversity of experiences that's going to put me in the direction of where I want to go. And so, you know, I could have gone to any university in the state that I wanted to go to, including like a Morgan or a Coppin, but I just figured Towson was probably the best spot that would give me the diversity of experiences that I would need. Because in my mind, if I just kept being around Black people all the time and I didn't have the frame of mind to, you know, figure out how to engage my people, I was just going to be miserable no matter where I went. So I figured, well, at least Towson will give me the diversity of experience. Now, what I've learned since then is that I wish that I had that intellectual foundation going into college, because I had to gain that all after the fact. You know, I had to find people around me that were going to give me that foundation. And you have an advantage because the type of institution you attend is going to benefit greatly from what you bring to it. So if you've already decided that you want to work for Black people in your profession and you want to figure out the best way to do that, then going to a historically Black college like Spelman might make the most sense, and especially going into it with that frame of mind. But I just think, you know, college is temporary. You know, it's a very finite process. It's a beginning and end to it. You go in, you leave at some point. So it's really just for you defining exactly what you want to get out of it. And I think, you know, it's a tremendously important piece to figure out what you want to get out of it in terms of what you're going to contribute to Black people. Because when I was 20, I think that made the biggest difference for me, is that I made a decision when I was 20 years old. I'm like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life figuring out how to contribute to the lives of Black people, period. And so that just became that. So everything I did from that point forward has just been centered around that. And so I think when you have that kind of, you all, you know, based on when y'all introduce yourselves and some of the things I've been hearing, it sounds like y'all are already on that path. You just have to figure out, you know, what is the best method to do that. And I think, you know, college is a good element of it, but, you know, figuring out what exactly you want to contribute, I think, is the more important part. And then college just becomes a tool to do it.
Word. Good stuff. Appreciate it. Chris, are you back? 'Cause I thought I saw you back in the chat for a second. I'm just checking in to see. Good. So great question, Amari. Great answer, Adam. Great question for Rasha. Any students want to throw another question into the room? Maybe it's 5:45 now. You all let me know what type of time you're working with Adam, Amari, and Chris, so we can make this, you know, we can roll. Even if some of y'all got to go at some point, just let me know. Yeah, any questions from students for them? Again, Adam's doing some work with an organization he helped found, Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle. Amari is a professor at Temple as well as a recording artist. And Chris, spoken word artist and student. So it's people doing like slightly different things. And maybe at some point in the conversation a little later, I do want us to start talking a little bit about like after college, or even during college. What are some things that you all have done? How's the education that you received helped shape what you're doing now? But we'll get to that right now. Any questions? I see Kadira.
Wait,
go ahead and say that. Go ahead. Oh no, sorry. Go ahead, Nadia.
Okay. Well, for Brother Mari's question, for me, it was similar to Farasha. I do have some fears around like going to college and not choosing the right institution. Well, before even choosing the right institution, getting the necessary funds or being able to negotiate with the college in order to fund going to college. And I don't want to take any loans out or anything. And that's definitely not on my parents' list. And I was also questioning if I should explore something like a gap year or something, so I could get an employment at a place that I would like to get employment at. My parents keep saying, "Oh yeah, you should get an intern at a film place or something like that, and then maybe you could get some connections there or a studio or something that you're really interested in, and then maybe you decide to go to college or something." But one of the things that I was thinking about yesterday before the seminar is that I haven't really actually made a plan. Like I haven't even actually, well, I don't think I've done this, updated it, but written down where I want to be. So actually I just started doing that right now. So I think I do have it clearly in my head, and with communicating more, I think the main thing for me to do now is to focus on identifying where I want to be and then making a plan to get there. But I kind of do want to go to college because I don't want to be stuck in Atlanta, or I don't know. I'm still thinking about it, but that's where my head is right now.
Word, got you. Good stuff. Yeah, I wish that there was someone I was trying to bring on that actually hadn't gone to college. And as you all know, like I haven't gone to the academy, at least not yet, for much of the same reasons, dealing with like debt and all that good stuff. Oh, hey, Mama Gigi, I see you in the room now too. So we have another parent. That is Soul's mother for Amari, Chris, and Adam. Let's see, Kadir, you had a question. Could you go ahead and say that question? Because I think it's a good one.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so my question was, since you're coming from an African-centered education, was it hard in college to like be a leader and teach others like what you have learned? And if so, was it hard to teach people who are used to falsehood and you're trying to teach them truth? So was it kind of hard to teach them, I guess?
You're muted again, Adam.
Oh, my fault. Yeah. Yeah.
You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. Yeah. So just to give folks some context, one of I started my organization in college, and so what I did in college, I was a former debater. I debated in high school, and I got a scholarship to college. And from that point, I was able to essentially train myself through debate with my friends and colleagues, through a very rigorous academic activity, through policy debate. And so one of the challenges that I came across, kind of early on, was that, when you're in school, Towson University is a majority white school, and the types of Black people that come to that school are typically like Black folks from affluent backgrounds and like places like Prince George's County here in Maryland. or places like Montgomery County and things like that, like in the state of Maryland. And so what you have, what a lot of black folks are called bougie black folks, coming to school like Towson around a bunch of white folks, coming to learn about issues, coming to get their degree to lead. And so that was a challenge. And, me, I'm like a working class black person from Baltimore. So that we always had clash there. But one of the things that helped me kind of get over that hump, because you can get a lot of anger and frustration towards black people because, black people just like the black people you think should get it, they don't get it. And it's like, come on, man, you got to see this truth. You got to see the light. But most of the time, it's not because black people have putting concerted effort into not trying to understand. It's just that most of us have never been presented with the information or the light that we need to be liberated from racism and white supremacy to begin with. And so having a sincere love for black people and knowing what that means will get you through that. And it'll help you lead black people better. Because ultimately, in the work that I do, actually I've been dealing with black folks here in Maryland, talking about policy advocacy, because that's what I do. I focus on policy advocacy. And it's been tremendously difficult to get certain black people, older black folks in particular, to understand these issues around racism. And I've had a bunch of run-ins with them over the past few weeks. And it's been hard. But when you really love black people and your work is based in your love for black people, then you'll find over time, you'll find that you'll be less and less frustrated, and yet you'll just come to understand our condition as black folks in this country. Because, when you're in school, when you're in college, it's hard to understand that sometimes because you're younger, and, our emotions and our frustrations can get the best of us. But I think maintaining a focus and a discipline that's concentrated on black people and black liberation will help get you through. And loving black people ultimately is what gets you through those situations. And I don't mean like loving without accountability. I mean like actually having an authentic appreciation for your people in such a way where you won't let the frustration outweigh your love in the first place.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, can I quickly add to that? What I was saying? Chris here.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, y'all can hear me. Cool. And this might be my last comment because I'm sure they're going to tell us to turn our phones off pretty soon. I'm on the plane now. But I wanted to just add that I think also as you learn and you go through what it means to, quote, teach, understand that you're always learning, right? That part of approaching education from an African-centered context means that you understand that teaching and learning for you are going to look different than they would from a Eurocentric perspective, right? So it's not just about the content that you'll be learning and you're engaging. Sorry, but it's also about how you disseminate that and how you engage people. So part of confronting folks who aren't at that level yet. Sorry, there's an announcement, y'all. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Almost there.
Feels like we're flying with you, Chris.
Funny. All right, cool. Here we go. So the point I want to make is that, because the question was about people who are at different levels and like how are people receptive to this type of thing. We really just have to consistently understand that it's not our job to always get people to, quote, agree with us or think something, but we have to get people to think for themselves, right? Because it's not our job to, quote, fix anyone. It's really our job to, it's our job. I'm in the exit row too with that. So it's our job to really, like I said before, push the imagination. So when you approach somebody who doesn't know something or is coming from a different perspective, or you feel like, wow, this person just doesn't get what I'm saying, it's not their job to get it all today, but people respond to authenticity, right? So half the times it's not even what you're saying to them, it's just how you show up. Like if you show up consistently, if you show up accountably, as Adam said, they might not respond to what you're saying today or tomorrow, but if they see that, 3 months later you still invested, 6 months later you still invested, a year later you're still invested, that's going to send a message to people much stronger than any book or any text or anything. So it's really about just your character reflecting this education which you seek to enlighten your people with. So I'm going to close, y'all. Thank y'all for your time. I appreciate being on this space with y'all. And thank y'all for the patience through the traveling journeys, man. So appreciate the time. And I hope to maybe get back on with you all one day soon. Y'all take care, all right?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris.
Thank you
We'll
for
absolutely
being
bring you
here.
back. Yes, safe travels. And yeah, we'll connect soon.
Thank you for doing this for the students also. This is okay, I came back on. Thank you so much.
I'll pass that on to him. I think yeah, Chris is
Okay, thank you.
No, absolutely. I can't think of someone who might not muted. Let me see. Yeah, I can't think of any other way. That's a great way to end off in the sense of like the connection and the authenticity being so important in terms of how we relate with each other. Because even like in my experiences, what I think Adam, Amari, and Chris are saying is that, part of this journey is, I think, at least for me, like valuing on a very like everyday and rich level, just the lives of Black people, the lives of ourselves, even under duress, through struggle, through setbacks, through successes, that the whole gamut of experiences we're gonna have when we really invest in our people and choose to stay connected. So the goal isn't to transform, to kind of like act on a people and transform them in a way as if they're not active operators in their own process, as much as it is how do I equip myself with the skill sets and the experiences based on my interests to help create pathways for other Black people to do the same thing where we can do that together. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful for all of y'all for adding that into the discussion. And I'm gonna go ahead and close my mouth. And there is Akili Mali's question. I'm gonna go ahead and rock with that. I do want to hear from a couple of more students. Thank y'all for participating so much. And then again, Adam and Amari, if there are again any questions that you have, and parents, what do y'all have? And Ali, what you talking about? Did you have a question that I missed, Ali? Yes, no. What's your question, Ali? You go ahead and rock yours then. Oh, there it is. Adam, did you experience racism at Towson? Yeah, that's a great question. What teachers grading like Adam still experiences racism at Towson? But go ahead and rap about that.
You know what's ironic about it? I'm actually wearing like a Towson hoodie right now, which I think is pretty fun. But so the short answer is yeah. And Towson taught me about racism in a really creative way. Because I used to think about racism as like, if Becky says the N-word, then that must mean racist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And she probably, it's like maybe Becky is racist, but Towson taught me about institutional racism because I didn't mention this before, but one of the things I did when I was a student is that I did a bunch of on-campus organizing with the Black people on campus. And when you organize on a white institution for Black power and power for Black people in terms of like trying to get influence over university decisions and trying to get resources for Black people, makes you a target. Makes you a real easy target. And so I experienced a lot of really subtle racism, at an institutional level. Like maybe my professors would grade me badly on assignment. Like I got a C on a paper where I talked about Marcus Garvey because it's like, well, I don't think that this is appropriate for this class. It's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, it's Marcus Garvey. You were in sociology. You asked me to write about a leader that I respect. And I wrote about Marcus Garvey. What's wrong with that? Like, nope, it's not appropriate. It's like, okay, all right. And so that affected my grades sometimes. And then around campus, I used to get a lot of hate mail. I used to get a lot of, at one time, I think an SGA senator, he called me the N-word under his breath, like while I was in a meeting for the Student Government Association. And so, that's stressful. And, and at one point, the university, this is like after I had left, they tried to start a white student union on campus. It's also ridiculous. But I saw that to say is that, of course, there's racism at large mainstream white institutions. What kept me from going insane and smacking somebody was having a great group of friends and colleagues around me that made me like grounded. You know what I mean? Because part of my issue was, you know, coming into school is that I didn't really think about the issues of Black people too much, and it wasn't a part of my daily life. But when I wake up in the morning, and nowadays, like I'm constantly thinking about like how I ask myself the question, like how can I improve the conditions of Black people, and then I can be around Black people that also think like that, and then they can keep me like grounded with my purpose is. So at Towson, I mean, because Towson was crazy, but you know, and also in addition to them being racist, you know, they would also get drunk on the weekends and like fall up and down the main strip of the university and like, you know, trip. So like white people are a little crazy. But I said all that to say is that you should have great friends around you who are also Black, who can keep you grounded so that way you don't go insane, because it will drive you insane. And I know people that attend mainstream white institutions will probably tell you the same thing. But yeah.
Adam, did you know that cat, what's his name? The dude who tried to start it? The White Student Union?
Yeah, funny story about him. So, you know, when I was a student, I was in a bunch of like the campus newspaper articles talking about like Black nationalism, Black freedom struggle, and all that. And so after I left, his name is Matthew Heimbach. He's a white nationalist.
Yeah. He
looked up my old newspaper articles, and the first time he met me, he was like, "I just want to say I have a great amount of respect for you. You're like one of my inspirations for why." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? What?" He was like, "Nah, you know, I just took a play for your playbook, man. You know."
Wow, he tried to put it on you.
Oh yeah. He was the wild boy. That was a wild boy.
Yo, I teach a general education historical significance of race class, and they Vice did a documentary on him. And I always assign that just to, you know, kind of, you know, do a little litmus test as to where the students are and how they feel about that. There's always interesting responses, but yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Lord have mercy. I mean, and plus one of my former students, he ran the BSU while Matthew was president, and they had like a night patrol where they were like searching for Black people that were committing crimes.
Yo, let me. I'm gonna post a link in the thing so y'all can check it out.
Oh, it's insane. It's wild. It's wild.
It's definitely. I mean, but it's not unlike. I mean, especially because what was that? That was what year was that?
That was what 2014, 15, 14.
2013, right?
13.
And like we see that. So my wife is a professor at University of Pennsylvania, and in November, it was actually the FBI got involved because somebody had broken into the group me, whatever, sent out these emails to Black freshmen telling them that they were going to lynch them and all of this stuff, right? It got swept under the rug, and really they don't talk about it anymore. But obviously that's the climate we're living in now. I see that Allie said that she doesn't want to apply to Yale anymore. I don't necessarily blame you, but there was also a response that I made to Soul's comment earlier on. Just about like, I think it was, correct me if I'm incorrect, Soul, but it was basically like, did you feel the pressure to, you know, code switch in classrooms and things like that? The fact is, anytime you're dealing with white people in America, you're dealing with racism. Let's be clear on that, right? That's not going to change. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with Black people in positions of power at institutions, whether they be so-called Black or white, you're also going to be dealing with internalized racism. But that's a conversation for a different time. What I'm trying to say is that, and Brother Adam suggested this, you know, I had a core of folks. I had a Black world at Columbia, obviously overwhelmingly white, you know what I mean? But my world that I was able to build for myself was Black. And that's what helped me get through. I was an African-American studies major. So I had a work study job in the Institute. So I was up there all the time. We were in New York City. We're right there in Harlem. You know what I mean? And my senior year in particular, I got down with the Malcolm X grassroots movement in Brooklyn. So my world was so much bigger than just the campus. You know what I mean? I say that to say that, like, if you're going to go to a white institution, make sure that you take full advantage of the resources that are available to you, and understand that there are going to be consequences for whatever your decision is. Whether you go, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just it's a fact of life. There are consequences to every decision, good or bad, or that's, you know what I mean?
Right. It's a balance. Yeah.
And obviously, you know, and I think Nadir had kind of suggested like, oh, but you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you've chosen the wrong institution. Valid concern, you know what I mean? But some ways to sort of inform yourself as to whether or not you're making the best decision is obviously to visit, to speak at length with many different people about their experiences, and then also going back to what was the first sister's name?
Who asked the first question?
Farasha.
Farasha.
Yeah, like Farasha, being clear on what it is that you want to do. You know what I mean? Because if you're into, you know, if you're into X, but you're talking to somebody who's into Y and they're telling you this is the greatest place on earth, but you don't have similar, you see what I'm saying? So as long as you're clear on what it is you want, what it is you're looking for, you can sort of ask your questions accordingly.
Good stuff. Good stuff. True stuff. Indeed. So yeah, y'all are also hearing. Go ahead. Someone wants to
Sorry, if I could. This is Ife. Could just add something on the back end of that. I know that quite a few of you are thinking about institutions, particular institutions, and whether you make the right decision or the wrong decision. And to piggyback off of Amari's comment, there are consequences to every decision, and there's no perfect decision. I happen to know that, well, the thing is, I don't want y'all to get all like paralyzed, okay, over this decision. I think there's a lot of money spent, and just a lot of influence from everywhere, like to influence you all to think that like college is the biggest decision that you'll ever make in your life or your life ever. And it's like, that's absolutely not true. Okay. First of all, as far as I'm concerned. And also there's no decision that you can't rebound from, or, you know, where like you can always make another decision after you make a decision. So I don't want you all to like eat your heads off. Because I know that you can, like, I know how it gets. And for me, what I learned was like life goes on and life gets bigger. And so I also wanted to say that in terms of choosing a school, I definitely second visit any school that you're considering, visit. I wouldn't make a decision about going to a school if you haven't visited the campus. And on that note, leave room for inspiration. Like Amari said, he stepped on the campus and it said, this is where I'm supposed to be. Although, you know, it was a PWI or what have you, like the things that we think we know about a place or where we're supposed to be sometimes doesn't quite compute. We don't necessarily have all the information that we need until we experience it. So leave room for inspiration, leave room to like trust your intuition. And also know that you will, in the same vein that there are consequences to every decision, going to a PWI going to a HBCU does not save you. I think I'm the only one here, or I guess a teacher out of the teachers or guests who graduated from a HBCU or attended a HBCU. And I just want to let you all know, like, it's not, that's another discussion. And I agree with Amari in the sense that when you're dealing with Black folks in positions of power, and I'll say everywhere, you will be dealing with injected oppression and internalized racism. And so it's gonna be a trade-off, you know, wherever you go. There are times that I look back and think, oh, well, maybe I would have gotten something that I wish that I would have gotten if I went to a PWI. The thing is, I will never know. Sometimes I think I take for granted what I got at a HBCU, and I won't know that either, because I have never had another experience. Also, you can always transfer. You can always do something different. Life keeps on moving. It's going to be all right.
Absolutely.
And I'm out.
Absolutely. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Kadir asked real quick, and I'll jump on that. PWI and HBCU. PWI, as in the letter I, is known as it's an acronym for predominantly white institution. And then HBCU is a historically black college or university. And so that should clear that up a little bit for you. And yeah, thank you, Ife. Thank you, Amari. Thank you, Adam, for your answers there. It is 6:10. I want to just check in to see what folks' times are looking like. Yesterday, I know you said that you had to go. Farasha, I see that you and Nadia both have questions.
No, I'm saying to make sure I took Keely.
Okay, cool. So Keely Molly had to go. Got you. I didn't even catch that. So cool. I do want to check in well, everyone's pretty much gotten to ask a question. Mama Yinka or Mama Gigi, either of y'all still in the room? I just want to, open up a space, or any other parents, open up a space. If you all have any questions for Amari or Adam or any of us, want to give you all a chance to jump in as well. If you don't, no worries. We'll run through Farasha and Nadia's questions, and then if Adam and Amari have anything else, more questions for y'all, we can do that. Now I'm thinking if 6:30. Is 6:30 cool to kind of land this and wrap this up, Adam and Amari?
Yeah, should be straight.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's fine.
Because, we could stay till 10, but no. So, parents, any questions? If not, no worries. Wait about 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. So yes, Farasha, what you got?
Okay. Mine, well, okay, the first one was quick. Okay, so I'll just ask them. So I put in the text chat that I'm going on an HBCU tour next week. And I wanted to know what to look for and what type of questions to ask. I spent 36 hours on Spelman's campus a couple months ago, and it was a really, really good experience. And I love Spelman after that. I didn't want to go to Spelman beforehand, but once I toured it, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go here. But is there anything that you think I should look for, questions I should ask? That was the first question. And then the sub-question, I don't know if we're going to have time for this, but if we do, Brother Adam, you said your parents were cops, and you lived in Baltimore. I know about the climate now in Baltimore with police enforcement and all that stuff. What was it like then, and how did that affect you, if at all?
Real quick, Farasha, define then. Then as in when he was in school, then as in when his parents were growing up?
When he was in school.
Okay. Despite Adam's looks, he is a young brother. No, I was kidding.
So I can probably speak to the second part of your question. So Mark can also talk about the college stuff too. So my parents weren't police officers. My father, he was a sheriff deputy, and my mother was a correctional officer. And my mother worked in Howard County, which is a county here in Maryland, and my father worked in the city. So so that made for really interesting dinner conversations when I first started being on a lot of this stuff. And I don't think my parents understood entirely what I was on at first, but I think what happened that kind of changed the tide is that my parents kind of just began to see the institutional and structural issues of racism that were affecting policing in Baltimore and just generally Black people. And so I think they kind of came up off of that after a while. Now, I want to make sure I understand your question. Are you asking about what's happened in Baltimore, like what's changed in terms of like the climate here in Baltimore? That's what
I don't, because I know what it's like now, or I have an overview of what it's like because I know a couple people from there, and I kind of stay tuned into the urban areas. But I wanted to know if it's if it's changed at all, like if it was more intense or less intense with the police issues, and how that affected you, if at all.
Got you. Okay. The short answer is no. Nothing has really changed in terms of how police deal with Black people. I mean, that's not just in Baltimore. That's around the country. There's been a bunch of different reforms that they've tried to institute, like the consent decree. If you've been watching national news, the consent decree. A consent decree is an agreement that a police department has with the Department of Justice or the federal government to basically change its practices. Usually, it has to do with equity and racism. Because we had a report that was published by the Department of Justice that talked about some of the patterns and practices of the police department, basically saying it was structurally racist and engaged in patterns of racism towards, Black people. But that was signed and nothing has changed really. Also, the policing practices haven't really changed very much. And actually we've had, what's going on is that the police are, what they're saying they're doing is that they're not arresting and they're not trying to arrest or do their jobs effectively. And people are saying that that's causing the crime to grow up. That's why the murder rate went up. But, the issue is that policing in America is founded on the racist principle of essentially, herding cattle into communities, policing corners. It's an appendage of slavery and white supremacy. And that's what policing is. And we can't address the issues that we face with policing unless we address the deeper issues in this country as it relates to racism. So to me, no, nothing has really changed, and everything is basically been the same in terms of from my view. I guess just briefly on the second question, the Law Enforcement Officers Bill of Rights is insane. Y'all should look that up, by the way, if you get a chance. But the other part of your question is the college stuff briefly. One thing that I did not understand when I was applying for college, the fundamental idea, people say this, like the fundamental idea of, can I actually be here for like 4 years straight and enjoy it? And I don't really think, people don't ask themselves that question. I knew all the technical stuff. Like I knew the application deadlines. I knew, where the food was. I kind of knew where the BSU was, but I didn't really investigate, like, if I want to get involved, how would I do that here? Like, if I want to get money to do things on campus, where do I get that from? And who's going to, and you need like a Black person that is your person on campus in terms of administration. Like you need the one sister or the one brother that's always going to have your back, either in student activities, whether it's, in the cultural center or whatever they have at the school, because I had several Black mans and womans at Towson. They had my back, and without them, I wouldn't have gotten out of school. But and plus, I think that can only really be defined by what you determine you're looking for. So if it's important to you, for example, like let's say if you were studying women's studies, it's important that they have programs and events and generally a culture where that women are at the center and that you talk about issues related to gender. Like if that's important to you, you should ask a bunch of tough questions to all the right people. If they don't answer to your satisfaction, then that's not a good school for you. But I think that you got to really consciously think about what exactly you're looking for in terms of where you want to live, what types of things you need on campus. Because the more questions you ask like that, then you'll see when you get there, like you won't be scounging around trying to figure it out. You already know in advance.
Word. Great answer.
That's it. And also where the money at, because that's real.
Say that.
Yeah,
Say
that. You know what I mean? To see, but also, I mean, yeah, that's important. I was reading this article. This is a tangent, but I was reading this article that was saying in 18 years, the cost of a 4-year education would be $500,000. That's silly. Now, it ain't quite there yet, but it's on its way. I mean, that's really something to look into. But the other stuff, yeah, I mean, that's a very personal choice because some people want to be in the city, some people want to be in a rural area, some people want a big, you know what I mean? Like all of those sort of things. It's really about you being clear on what it is that you want, but also like Ife said, being open to inspiration because you may think you want something, you're like, yo, I could actually get down with this. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Definitely good stuff. So
yeah, say it just like that.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm gonna do this again at the end, and I'm just kind of like inspired to do so and say that I appreciate you, Amari and Adam, for jumping on this. So y'all are two of my my closest friends, and it just kind of like makes me really happy to be able to share some of what I'm doing and share some of you all with some of my students. So I'm really glad for this moment here. Nadia, I know, yeah, exactly. What was I gonna say? Nadia, you had a question. So Nadia, your joint, and let's move towards that. And then again, Adam and Amari, if there's any other questions you have for them to wrap up. If not, we can shut this down. As is a tradition at our school, at the end of every class, we do appreciations where we share something we appreciate about ourselves, about each other, about what we've learned in this session, as well as, even though we don't do it so much right now, one thing that we've learned that we're all gonna do a round of appreciation so that Adam and Amari, y'all can get loved on a little bit, and you can see a little bit of some of the cultural things we're instituting here at Aya. And without further ado, Nadia, take it away with your question.
Okay, so I kind of combined my questions since we are close on time. And yeah, so here goes. I wanted to know, did either of you negotiate with the schools you attended for financial aid or better financial aid other than what they offered originally? And if you did negotiate, how did you negotiate for better financial aid or financial period? And then was the SAT or the ACT scores, were they like pivotal for your acceptance or the financial aid? And then lastly, dang it, I forgot this part. Dang it. Well, it doesn't matter. That's it.
Well, no, I didn't negotiate. On the front end, once I got there, I was able to, like, sometimes. So the guy who was my boss, right, in the Institute for Research in African American Studies, was able to basically get my work study extended. You know, that's pretty much it. But like, work study was really an important source of income for me. You know, I don't know if all schools do that or whatever have you, but that was that. And then the second question was SATs and ACTs. I remember it being I don't remember what it was. I remember doing well enough not to hurt my application, but not well enough to kind of bring it to the next level. But yeah, I know a lot of these schools, some are even moving away from SATs, or SAT, standardized testing in general, because they're looking for a more holistic application process. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't got more for you, bro.
No, it's all good. And
oh, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead. You're good.
Cool. So yeah, the SAT was the same for me. I did well enough not to hurt myself. I didn't do well enough to give myself any particular leg up. I wanted to answer the question on negotiation. I did, myself and my parents, I wouldn't have known how to do any negotiation without them, but we did negotiate with some financial aid scholarship coordinator people. And that was all at HBCUs at that point. I think I was only pursuing HBCUs. And did you ask about how? And we can have this, we can have a more in-depth conversation later if you want. But in one case, there was like a negotiation. It was more like a asking, like, is there anything else? Are there more scholarships? Is there something that we can do? Which opened me up to a scholarship that I eventually got, which was a full ride. And then another one at another school at Dillard University, it was more of a negotiation, like sitting at the table and looking and saying, okay, we see you have this covered, but there's this much left over, and is there something we can put here, and that kind of thing. So for the sake of time, Nadia, we can talk more about it offline if you want to.
Cool, good stuff. Adam, you got anything on that? Thank you, Faye. Thank you, Amari. Adam's still in the building. Now it looks like he got cut off as well. Hopefully he'll come back in. If not, yeah, no, thank you all. And yeah, because I can't answer that question. I haven't gone to school. So good stuff. So it is 6:25, and folks are falling like flies. Now, so Amari, if you could, kind of like as a short closing, you are teaching at Temple, and you know you've kind of like transitioned from you undergrad. You went to undergrad at Columbia, and then you did grad school at UT Austin, right?
Confederate University of Texas at Austin.
Yes. And so and Amari, I think Amari and you and I got to know, started getting connected with each other real deep, like as you were finishing your PhD at UT Austin, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, we're finishing my coursework. No, come sit up.
Got you, all good. But really, I say all that context to say that, so like you've, for lack of a better phrase, at least according to, this society, like reached the apex of what, collegiate and academia can offer. And you have continued to like do work in service of African people and have branched into other things beyond the academy. So if you could talk a little bit about kind of like some of what you're doing now with the Amari Rebel and the movement, kind of just like you're less about school now, more just about like you, the person, and what an African-centered education, consciousness, social politic, how that has contributed to your next, so to speak.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying in the beginning. I'm a rock star. I wasn't joking.
True. He does have an EP, y'all.
No, so this is the thing. I went to grad school because I didn't want to get a real job. And at that time, this is like right before the recession. At that time, PhD programs were fully funded. So I was getting paid to go to school, right? To get my PhD or whatever. And I knew that I really enjoyed reading and studying and thinking about issues. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll go to grad school. It actually turned out to be a pretty good decision for myself because what it allowed me to do really was I went to Texas. Actually, I took a year off after I graduated because I got a fellowship that paid me to stay in New York for 6 months and then go back to Brazil for another 6 months. I went to Texas where I met my brother, Samori Kamara, who, we've had a very good friendship, but also a working relationship. He and I started a YouTube show that brought us around the country. And he was from New Orleans, and when we finished coursework at the same time, he said he was moving back to New Orleans, so I went back with him. He opened a homeschool in our house, and we've kind of taken on different paths from there, just in terms of he really pursued the education. He's since repatriated to Ghana. Hold on for a second, I'm sorry.
No, yeah, you're absolutely fine.
There you go. While in New Orleans, though, I also started to get into music again. I played guitar when I was a kid and really got back into it. But I was also able to align my studies, my dissertation, with what was important to me: independent institutions for African people, self-determination, and Marooning. So all I can say is like having folks who ride with you. You know what I mean? One of the really cool things about that web series that we did was, that's actually how I met Brother Tafari. We were able to go all over the country and meet folks and form relationships, and that community that transcended where we were physically has also reaffirmed within myself, because I know one of the questions earlier was just about feeling isolated or being alone. And even though, I'm sorry, she's getting restless because it's getting close to her bedtime.
Yeah, no, you're perfectly fine.
Upstairs. You hear? All right. Watch your head now. Sorry.
No, you're good. This is what you find out with us. Like, this is how we do it. It's like folks got kids and teaching and there's voices, and You know, people chewing on food during class, like it's all good.
But ultimately, what I was moving towards was that I've been able to pursue this because of one, again, going back to Farash, I mean that, being clear from the beginning where it is you want to go, that's the roadmap. You know what I'm saying? And staying committed to that. So because I knew that I wanted to dedicate my life to this, I was fortunate enough to be able to identify. Stop at the bottom of the steps and call her, okay? She'll come get you. Go ahead. I was able to surround myself with people who would be able to provide those. I'm sorry, hold on. This is the last time. Grace. Yeah, excuse me for 1 second. My bad, y'all.
You're fine. You're fine. That's great.
Organic.
Definitely, absolutely. So yeah, have y'all enjoyed this?
Yes, this is. When does that essay due though?
Yeah, essay is due the Friday. Your essay will be due Friday for photography class. So what is that? The 13th, I think, is the date. The 14th. But I would say get it in sooner than that, while it's fresh on your mind.
Word.
I'm back now.
It'll be easier.
Cool, no, dude. Cool, you're good. So go ahead and continue, brother.
I was saying, man, like having this community of folks to encourage me, you know what I mean, to challenge me, to hold me accountable. That's really been invaluable because as you get older, and now it's like, I got a baby, I got a wife. You got to start making these decisions that when you're 17 or 18, you're like, oh, well, I could, I'm gonna always stay true to this. And then later on the bills start coming, you got to make, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to make decisions that may or may not contradict your values. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've been fortunate enough to be able to stay true to myself. And even though now it's like I'm a professor at a university, my classes are all Black. You know what I'm saying? My coworkers are all Black. And I'm still able to work with young folks about, teaching them about these issues and the things that are important to me. And then I come in my basement, I play my guitar, you know what I'm saying? Or organize my band and so on and so forth. I'm saying all of that because it is possible. It's just about intentionality, community, and commitment.
Boom. Yes, indeed. Thank you for that. And that's actually a perfect way to end everything. So again, thank you. Appreciate you for this. Students, again, was this useful for you all? Is this good? Want to do it again tomorrow? Want to never do it again? Give me some feedback.
Well, I'll make this into an appreciation. I appreciate having Brother Tafari's brothers come and talk to us, and I appreciate Sewa also being here, giving us that extra input, the whole energy of it, which is really, really great, and it was really helpful, and it just I was able to think about things that I hadn't really considered, just listening to everybody's questions and all that. And Brother Mari, could you please put your information in the text chat? And Brother Safari, could you ask Brother Adam and Brother Chris if we could have theirs as well? I know they left, but I would like to make, contact with them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let Adam and Chris.
I think Adam just joined again too.
Okay. I would like to say Medasipa for everybody's participation and for the speakers that came out today. And I also liked the fact that a lot of the students came. I also saw like Soul had a question that didn't get answered earlier. Like well, I wasn't here to hear the answer, but I think he said what type of education do you think is most important for Black people? It might not have been most important, but something similar to that. And I wanted to hear answers to that question. And then I also appreciated the responses to the other people's questions. And Kadir and Farasha also appreciated your questions, two of your questions a lot. And I definitely would like to have this conversation again. And since I feel kind of pressured to get everything done really soon because I'm about to graduate and need to know because May is like right around the corner. And yeah, but that's it.
Absolutely no deal. And if folks have time for continued discussion after this, then great. If not, that question that Sol asked, sorry, Sol, that we didn't get to it. I will say we'll probably take that off air. I'll handle that another way. Or on a
Maybe,
next. Go ahead.
yeah, maybe we can write them down and then keep them on tap for next time.
Right. I think that'd be perfect. So yeah, yeah, let's keep the appreciations rolling. Adam, I see that you are back in, and thank you for pointing that out too.
Yeah, my fault. My internet is like being really screwy. My fault.
No, you're good. You're good. So we're wrapping up, and just doing like I was saying earlier, we do at the end of every class, we do appreciations, and so students and teachers and folks just kind of like share what they appreciate, no particular order to it, and we've had a few already, so we can keep those rolling. So any other appreciations that folks have, let's throw those in the chat, or rather throw those around, and then we can mosey on up out of here.
I appreciate Aya and the teachers and the friends of Aya and the students, the parents, and I love this environment. This is Mama Sandy, Allie's mom. And I just appreciate it because you're getting the students ready and realistically telling them what could and could not happen and giving them scenarios to work through. And so they'll be more than prepared to adjust and if they need to, and searching for the right place for them. And I'm excited. My daughter is going to 12th grade next year. But I think it's wise for students to start a year early to start preparing. I didn't go straight to college after high school. I went into the military and went about, roundabout the other way. But things that I've learned on here today, I didn't hear, I never heard, I learned, and it's going to help us decide where she's going to go and how to pursue what it is she wants to do. So I appreciate everything about the call today, and I hope they continue. Thank you.
And so if Adam and Amari, if y'all are wondering what these mo's are, these apparent text-based cow sounds in Ghana. Actually, I'm gonna do like Bob Wokesa does. Who wants to explain it? Give me a student. Who wants to explain what?
Nadir.
You volunteer, Nadir. Okay, cool. Nadir, go ahead.
Okay. Well, Mo is a tree. We're learning trees, a West African language out of Ghana. Well, it's just out of West Africa. And Mo means good words. The full thing is, hold up, let me see if I can say this correctly. Monikasa, and it means good words or like good speaking. Or you said a good thing, and we appreciate what you said. Yeah, it's just basically celebrating what they've done or what they say, and people are like, "Yeah, you did an awesome job." So yeah.
Exactly, and so usually folks will say it, and it kind of becomes this whole thing where people be like, "Mo." So if we start hearing that, just know that that's what it is. But cool.
My fault. I was actually wondering the whole time what I meant. And I'm so glad somebody explained to me. I thought y'all was saying Mo like they saying DC, like Mo, what's up, Mo? Like, I was legitimately confused, but I'm glad y'all spelled that out for me.
Yeah, I thought y'all
need like a glossary, like a glossary.
Anybody from DC? Word.
Why?
Okay, I'll go next with appreciations. I appreciate you all coming out to speak with us, and even though some of this information might not resonate with me right now, maybe later on when I'm considering colleges and stuff, I'll think back to this, and I appreciate our teacher for setting this up, and yeah, I appreciate everybody coming in for asking their questions.
Appreciate you too, Yejide. And I always appreciate your honesty. Yejide will call it up in a second. She'll be like, yeah, I don't need this for like another 3 years, but this is cool. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna grab this extra credit. So I appreciate that, Yejide. Great. I'll jump in and say to Adam, Chris, and Amari, Chris is here. I appreciate you all for helping make this possible. Ife, I appreciate you for showing me how to use Zoom and setting it all up so that this could be possible in such a dopely efficient way. Parents, Mama Sandy, Mama Yinka, Mama Gigi, who jumped on for a second, thank y'all for jumping in and participating in this as well. I want to kind of help create and connect more students to my networks and also just to more of the world around them in terms of what people are doing, good work for our people. And yeah, students, I appreciate y'all jumping in and asking the questions that you asked, making it a discussion. Y'all really did your thing. So appreciate y'all. Any other appreciations? And Amari and Adam, y'all can feel free to throw some in. And it's not mandatory, so it's also not like you better get some.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, nah, I don't appreciate y'all. Nah. But yeah, I actually really think it's tremendous that we can have this kind of conversation on a Thursday night with during spring break with students that are interested in knowing about these kinds of things. And I wish that when I was your age that I had this kind of environment, the kind of people you have around you that can help push this kind of conversation and dialogue forward. One thing I guess, if in terms of something to take away, in terms of like, what you got from today, typically, adults like myself and others, we see ourselves as like the experts, as the people that, yes, we have all the knowledge and we are the ones who have arrived. I just want you to know that we are far from perfect, and that the fact that y'all are asking these such thought-provoking questions about college, African people, help assisting Black people in your professions, like that's like tremendous. And you're way ahead of the curve. Like there are people who are like 30, 40, 50 years old that are just now asking themselves these questions about who they are, where they want to go, and how they want to achieve their goals. And I think that's just tremendous. I think you should be proud of yourselves for already being in a position where you're already intellectually ahead of the curve of most of your peers. And, and please, feel free to use me as a resource, because, this is this is for today, but, this is part of what I do. And so if any of you are interested in hitting me up about anything related to college, any questions you asked me today, if you want to do any follow-up, I'll more than happy to do that with you. So I'll leave my email in the chat. But thank y'all so much for having me, and I deeply appreciate all of the students for being such bright, dope, and intellectual beings.
All the most.
Mo!
Mo!
You've now been inducted.
Now, every time I call the phone, I was like, Mo!
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, so, cool. Amari, you got anything? A soul? Who else
I'd just like to say, thank you. I've let's see. I guess it was a few weeks ago. I caught when you were doing your presentations. I caught a few minutes of that. Plus, just talking to Brother Tafari, I am familiar with the caliber, if you will, of students at Aya. So it's really just good to sit with y'all and rap, and to know that we got some young folks who are committed to our people. So I, like I said, I put my email in there. Brother Nadir knows I do respond. It might take a little longer, but it's okay. I'll get better. You know what I mean? But yeah, hit me up and we can talk about this or anything else. And if you're ever in Philly, holler at me.
Appreciate it. Cool. So,
I will.
Go ahead.
I'm just playing, y'all. I appreciate, Tafari, first of all, for putting this together. I think this is absolutely like genius, marvelous, so on point in terms of what our students need. And I love your ability to like work fast. Like we had this conversation, I think we've been having this conversation over like a week's time before you started working on something. I know me and my dad were talking about it and something long term, and you were like, all right, I'm gonna call these people, I'm gonna message these people, boom, boom, we got a date, it's on, let's do it. And I love that. I think you're genius at that, and I really appreciate you putting this together. I really appreciate Amari and Adam for taking time out of your busy schedules and your time with Harriet and me to be with us and be with our students. And I really appreciate y'all for keeping it real. And Chris, thank you, Allie. Yeah, I really appreciate Chris with all that he had going on for making this a priority. And I love how all of y'all kept it real. Like, you know, this wasn't like a panel, you know, talking to the students in a formal way. Like, y'all just kept it as real as y'all are right now, you know. And I love the point that we don't have it figured out. You all have journeys of your own to make. No one, you know, I don't want you all to think of anyone as having the answers or as the answers first and foremost being outside of you. You know, we can help you, you know, we might be able to help guide you or give you advice, and you can trust yourself. So I appreciate Adam, Chris, and Amari for being here and really reifying and driving that point home. The students, y'all are so brilliant. I really appreciate your honest questions and showing all the way up and not, you know, thinking, oh, is this a stupid question or a dumb question or something like that. Like, I appreciate you all for bringing what you had. Thank you to the parents who joined in. And I'm so glad that we have a school where we can do this and be authentic at the end of the day. Like, that's what I love the most, is that we can all be authentic and love on each other from all these different corners of the world. Ashe.
So cool. No, thanks, Ife. Appreciate it so much. See, there's a couple more things. Yeah, so shout out Mama Fia and Baba Orchestra for helping make this space possible. Your parents. And yeah, so that's it. It's 6:47. If y'all want to chill and chat for a second, feel free. If not, like, y'all gotta go do your thing. Actually, I'm gonna change that up. No, we're gonna end this because Ife texted me and said she was hungry, so I gotta go get her some food. But yes, again, emails in the chat, adam@lbsbaltimore.com. What is it? camarijohnson@gmail.com. Is that what it is? I think he's posted his, and there's two. Kamari John. No, like c.amarijohn@gmail.com. Yo, shout out to Harriet Noni.
True.
And yeah, so let's stay connected. Adam and Amari, I'm glad y'all got connected through this.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this down and take another 2 seconds for y'all to write stuff down, exchange information, and until next time, y'all take it easy.
Peace.
Mo!
Good night.
Hey, good night.
Good night.
Yeah, y'all.